But I think, can the receivers get far enough down the field? Rodgers in trouble. It's going to get there. He turned 32 yesterday. Does he have a vintage moment in him? In the end zone, it is caught for the win.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the Week 15 NFL Power Rankings. So number 32 this week, I've got the Bengals. They haven't really proved much this season, and they've, to be honest, played pretty bad after just winning one game so far. Number 31, I've got the Dolphins, which sets up a pretty big game between the worst two teams in the league next week in Week 16 between the Dolphins and the Bengals. And number 30, I've got the Redskins. They really don't have much of an offense, and Dwayne Haskins has not been much of a threat this season. And really, their defense has been okay, but a very weak offense hasn't helped them at all. Next, at 29, I've got the Jaguars. Ever since Jalen Ramsey's gotten traded, they've played terrible and really just been a terrible football team, one of the worst teams in the league since about Week 6 this year. Number 28, I've got the Giants. They played pretty good last week against the Eagles with Eli Manning coming back, but they still got a really young team, and they're just not anywhere besides the bottom pack right now. Then next to 27, I've got the Jets. They haven't really been too good this year, and they've been a pretty bad team overall. Next to 26, I've got the Cardinals. They've been pretty bad lately. They've lost 6 in a row. Some of them are pretty close, but it's been a while since they've won. Same thing, number 25, I have the Lions. They've also been on a major downtrend after losing their 6th in a row this past Sunday, and probably looking for a big win tomorrow. Next to 24, I've got the Falcons. They've been going from terrible to okay to now just being pretty average, a pretty good combination of being average and bad this season. And 23, I've got the Panthers. Ever since those first 5 or 6 weeks of the season happened, the Panthers have just looked like a completely different team, and really haven't had much to play for lately after now being eliminated from the playoffs. Number 22, I have the Raiders. After starting out pretty good and seeming like even a possible team to win their division, the Raiders have played awful the last few weeks and have not done too good at all. Number 21, I've got the Buccaneers. Another team kind of like the Falcons, just always on the downtrend. They've won a couple games in a row, but not against too good of teams, so still just a pretty bad team, I'd say. Next, number 20. This may surprise some of you guys, but I've got the Cowboys. Really, they haven't beaten anybody good this season, and every time they've played a decent team, they just haven't really performed well at all, and they've looked like a bad team. Number 19, I've got the Chargers. They've played a couple of pretty good games this season, but really have been inconsistent this year and haven't played up to how they were last year. Number 18, I've got the Colts. After looking like a potential playoff team, now they've been very bad, and after losing the last few games, I don't really see them having a chance to make the playoffs. Number 17, I've got the Browns, another very inconsistent team, and after getting a lot of hype over the offseason, really haven't done much this year, which is kind of disappointing to a lot of people. Number 16, I've got the Broncos, who the last couple of weeks have been a major surprise. Most of that coming from Drew Lock leading the offense to being pretty good now. It's been really surprising. Number 15, I've got the Eagles, and they're starting to play some quality football. They've got a few quality wins this season, and to win the division, I think they've got to win out now, including that big Week 16 matchup against Dallas next weekend. Number 14, I've got the Bears, and they've been winning their last few games, even without a healthy defense, with a couple of injured guys on their defensive side. Mitch Trubisky's carried them through the last couple of weeks and started to put up some decent numbers. Number 13, I've got the Steelers. They've had even with James Conner out, still a pretty strong run game, and their defense is finally coming together, which is helping them out a lot. Number 12, I've got the Titans, and Ryan Tannehill has played lights out the last month. He's just been really good. He's the one that's going to give this team a strong push for the playoffs this year. The next, number 11, I've got the Bills, and they've got another game this week to try and prove themselves against the Steelers, which is another potential playoff team this season. That should be a good game tomorrow. Number 10, I have the Rams, and they're starting to look like a legit playoff team now, as they've now beat the Seahawks last week, who's, I think, one of the top maybe even 5 teams in the league right now. They've been playing pretty good this season overall, and after a tough start, the Rams are starting to look pretty good. Number 9, I've got the Texans. They, after a huge win against New England, I don't know what happened to them. They just played terrible last week and got owned by the Broncos. I expect them to bounce back this week, though, against the Titans and put up a strong effort. Number 8, I've got the Vikings. They got a tough road ahead. Last couple of games. This is where it starts to get tough with these top teams in the league. But number 7, I've got the Patriots, because they've been looking pretty old the last few weeks and starting to get worn out with a lot of football left to be played this year. Number 6, I've got the Chiefs, and now that Mahomes is back and looking fully healthy, the Chiefs' offense is back to normal, and they're very quickly become one of the scariest offenses again to play against. Number 5, I've got the Seahawks, and they got a pretty tough schedule ahead these last 3 games, and we're one of probably the hardest division in the league to play in. Number 4, I've got the Saints, and they had a really tough loss to the 49ers last Sunday. That's probably going to cost them some home field advantage in the playoffs, which might end up hurting them a lot. Number 3, I've got the Packers. They didn't play too good last week, but enough to get them the win. Number 2, I've got the 49ers, and they're starting to look like the clear-cut top team in the NFC, and definitely the team to beat in this conference. And number 1, I've got the Ravens, and they've played great football now this season, and have, to me, been the obvious number 1 team so far, based on how they've played. So guys, thanks for watching. I really appreciate you guys watching the video. Make sure to like, comment down below who you think your top teams are, you'd say, and subscribe. Thanks a lot.